Hello there.
Welcome to Consequences, the only choice that matters. Here is where we talk about narrative-driven games like The Last of Us, Knights of the Old Republic, and Monkey Island. Be sure to subscribe to the channel to be notified whenever we upload a new video. Give this one a like if you like what you see, and hit the notification bell. Lucasfilm Games once dominated the field of adventure games with a string of hits in the late 80s to early 90s. Zack McCracken and the Alien Mindbenders, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Maniac Mansion, Monkey Island, Full Throttle, and Grim Fandango are some of the best examples of point-and-click adventure games that have ever been made. These games remain close to people's hearts and have been given a second chance at life in recent years. One of the first things Lucasfilm Games did after the Disney acquisition is license out several properties to company legend Tim Schafer. Tim was the project lead on Grim Fandango and Full Throttle, as well as being the co-designer for Day of the Tentacle, all of which were remastered by his company Double Fine Productions, and that seemed like it was it for our beloved adventure games. Their destiny was to have a brief but significant moment in the sun before retiring once again to the pits of obscurity. Lucasfilm Games handed the Star Wars license to EA and all but shuttered its doors and laying off about 150 employees. But that was in 2013. And a lot of things have changed since then. EA famously bungled the opportunity of holding the exclusive license to Star Wars by releasing two cash grab versions of Battlefront, which not even the thief who broke into my home and stole my newly bought PlayStation 4 wanted anything to do with. True story. It was Christmas, I'd been saving up for months to treat myself after getting out of debt, and within 1 week some bastard had nicked off with it. But he did leave behind Battlefront, so that was great, thanks mate. EA did eventually release Fallen Order, which proved to be a hit with fans, but once their exclusivity deal ran out, Disney and Lucasfilm Games have licensed out Star Wars to more companies, which I'll get into shortly. But first, let's talk about the recently announced Indiana Jones game. Back in January 2021, when the company was revived, the first announcement they made was for a brand new Indiana Jones game being published by Bethesda and developed by Machine Games, best known for the Wolfenstein series. Not much has been revealed about the game so far, aside from a short announcement trailer. The game is likely to be released sooner rather than later to ride the coattails of the often delayed Indiana Jones 5 movie that should be coming out next year. Machine Games are a great studio to handle the franchise, as the game will be guaranteed to be chock full of history. The game will be unconnected to anything that came before it and will be set during Indy's most adventurous years, so it won't be a geriatric Indy that we're getting in Indiana 5. Love you, Harrison Ford, but this will be an Indiana Jones set at the height of his fame, his adventuring days, so should be quite a nimble Indy, all things considered. Bethesda's Todd Howard, who was the game director for Skyrim, Fallout 4, and the upcoming Starfield, is on board as an executive producer for the game after trying to secure this partnership for over 10 years. It sounds like the franchise is in the best possible hands, and only time will tell what kind of game this will be. It's probably fair to assume this won't be a classic point-and-click adventure game like Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, which, by the way, is genuinely the best adventure game ever written. The game is more likely to follow the Uncharted and Tomb Raider way of doing things. Although I will say this now, Todd Howard, if you are listening, I don't want to play an Indiana Jones game where he runs around committing genocide wherever he goes, like Nathan Drake and Lara Croft. It's always struck me as an odd narrative choice for historians and adventurers. When it comes to point-and-click games, Lucasfilm are coming through with the announcement of the first point-and-click Monkey Island since 1997. What's even more exciting is that development is being handled by the original creator, Ron Gilbert, who left the franchise over 30 years ago. Return to Monkey Island will pick up exactly where Monkey Island 2 LeChuck's Revenge left off. It's considered a Monkey Island 3A, but developers have promised the new game will not affect canonicity of the sequels, including The Curse of Monkey Island. Announced on April Fool's Day, fans scrambled to figure out if this was really happening or not. Those who follow Monkey Island news attentively will already know that Ron Gilbert promised to announce the game on April Fool's Day if he ever got the chance to make his third game. When the announcement was made, it was hard to believe. But a few days later, the announcement trailer dropped, confirming that Return to Monkey Island will be released later this year. Aside from confirming the involvement of fan favourite Curse of Monkey Island character Murray, nothing else is known about the story. Star Wars has always been the golden child at Lucasfilm Games, which is unsurprising since it's one of the most successful franchises in the entire world. There have been a litany of Star Wars games in the past to varying degrees of success. Lucasfilm Games have teamed up with a number of developers to release brand new stories in the Star Wars timeline. Let's start with the one people are anxiously waiting for more details on. Star Wars Jedi Jedi, Fallen Order was a huge hit for the company, so it's no surprise that Respawn Entertainment are hard at work on a follow-up. Fallen Order was so successful that it's become the second best-selling Star Wars game of all time in the US. A hit like that is bound to spawn more sequels. Fans are eagerly anticipating what happens next to Cal Kestis and his crew. The sequel was officially announced in January and may be a couple of years away from release. But that's not the only game Respawn are working on. They are developing a first-person shooter Star Wars game inspired by the Dark Forces series. Respawn are making good use of the IP with another game announced as well. The company is teaming up with BitReactor, who will be the development team behind a brand new Star Wars strategy game. This will be the new studio's first game, so this game probably has the longest wait until release. Years ago, I vowed never to buy another Star Wars game until they released a new Monkey Island game. When ex-Lucasfilm Games VP Jim Ward announced they were ditching adventure games, I was convinced my hunger strike would force their hands. And it did. Thankfully, Tales of Monkey Island was released in 2009, and now with the announcement of Return to Monkey Island, I feel comfortable buying Star Wars games again. Which is lucky really, because the new Star Wars Eclipse game is far too tempting. Star Wars Eclipse is a brand new story set in the High Republic era of Star Wars, years before the films. The game is being developed by story-driven kings Quantic Dream, the company behind Heavy Rain and Detroit Become Human. This game marks the first time that Quantic Dream have worked on an existing IP. The game promises to be choice-heavy with many branching narratives. The fate of playable characters will be yours to decide. Quantic Dream is not afraid to kill its main characters early, so players will need to choose wisely. The story of the game has yet to be revealed, but it will take place in the Outer Rim, and players will visit places they've never seen before. The studio has revealed that this game will feature more action than their previous games, which typically relied on quick-time events. When it was announced Star Wars Eclipse was confirmed to be in the early stages of development, so it will be several years before the game is released on consoles. Ubisoft are working on an open world, or should I say open worlds, Star Wars game. Julian Geraghty is leading development after previously working on The Division 2. Ubisoft's Massive Entertainment are working on the project, but the game is likely many years away as the team is currently finishing up the Avatar game, which is coming out later this year. Not much is known about the game at this point, however thanks to some job listings we can see that the game will be an adventure game with RPG elements, similar to Ubisoft's other open world offerings like Assassin's Creed. The last game that's currently in development is the one fans are probably most excited about. A from the ground up complete remake of the Knights of the Old Republic game. The game was announced at a PlayStation State of Play and has been confirmed to have timed exclusive with PlayStation, which is bad news for Xbox players. The game is said to maintain the integrity of the story and characters of the original game, and the team has already announced that Jennifer Hale will be reprising her role as Bastilla Shan. The original game has recently been released on the Switch, which can tide people over while the remake is in development. So that's everything that Lucasfilm Games has announced, but there are more Star Wars games in development that we don't know about. What about the other games in Lucasfilm's arsenal? When Ron Gilbert initially reached out to Disney, he had two requests. Let him buy back the IP for Monkey Island and Maniac Mansion. That means he must have an idea for a follow-up to Day of the Tentacle. If Return to Monkey Island does well, then it stands to reason that Lucasfilms could license Maniac Mansion back to Ron afterwards. So far, the marketing for Monkey Island has relied heavily on Ron Gilbert's name, so if it sells well, it's a no-brainer that Maniac Mansion would come next. The Edisons and Tentacles are a rich area for storytelling, and the original game featured 7 playable characters, 6 of whom are not seen again in Day of the Tentacle, so any subsequent game could pick up the story of any of these characters. A lot of Maniac Mansion's DNA can be found in Ron Gilbert's game The Cave, which he developed with Tim Schafer's Double Fine. A future Maniac Mansion game could follow this gameplay style as opposed to point and click. Finally, the last game that could be secretly in development is a sequel to the beloved Grim Fandango. There's a few reasons why I think this might be the case, although I will admit that Grim Fandango felt like a complete story and left little room for a continuation. However, Tim Schafer has thought about doing a sequel before, going as far as to say that he would like to make it an open world game based in El Marrow and the Land of the Dead. The hardest thing to figure out would be how to bring Manny back from his final reward. One option would be to centre it around a new character, but the issue with that is that these kind of games are really driven by the soul of its main character, so a Grim Fandango game without Manny could be unsatisfying. Tim Schafer has recently completed work on Psychonauts 2, and the company has no new games announced. If Lucasfilm Games are doing a push for their old IPs, now is the perfect time for development to start on a brand new Grim Fandango game. Would you want to see a new Grim Fandango game? Drop a comment below with your thoughts, and also also let me know which Star Wars game you're looking forward to the most. Remember to hit the subscribe button, notification bell, and give the video a thumbs up to send good vibes to YouTube. See you in the next one.